Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to dive into a really powerful piece of English grammar called modal perfects. If you've ever wanted to look back on the past, guess about what might have happened, or even talk about regrets, well, this is the exact tool you need. Let's get right into it.
So here's what we've got lined up. First, we'll touch on why this grammar is so useful for having deeper conversations. Then, we'll listen in on a natural conversation to hear how it's actually used. After that, we're going to break down how you can speculate about the past and talk about regrets. And to finish up, we'll wrap it all into a simple toolkit you can start using immediately.
So you might be wondering, why do we need a whole special grammar structure just to talk about the past? Well, it's because we almost never just state boring facts. We think about them. We analyze them. To really learn from our experiences, we have to look back and figure out not just what happened, but maybe why it happened and how things could have gone differently.
Of course you have, right? We all do it. Whether it's after a big exam, a project at work, or even just a simple chat with a friend. The grammar we use for exactly this kind of thinking is what we're talking about today. Modal perfects. They give you the perfect words for these complex, reflective thoughts about the past.
Okay, so to see how all this stuff actually works in the real world, let's do a little listening practice. We're about to hear two students talking about how they did on a recent exam. As you listen over the next few slides, really try to notice how they guess about their results and think about what they could have done better.
I must have misunderstood the instructions for the essay question because my score was lower than usual.
Maybe. Or you might have written too much in the first section. I saw you rushing at the end.
That's true. I should have planned my time better. I spent 20 minutes just on the introduction.
I had the opposite problem. I didn't write enough details. I could have improved my grade if I had included more examples.
Well, we can't change it now, but honestly, we may have learned more from this failure than from an easy pass.
All right, did you catch all those phrases they were using? The students weren't just saying, I got a low score. No, they were making these really smart guesses or speculations about what went down during their exam. So let's break down exactly how they did that.
I love this slide because it's like a certainty meter. It really shows you that not all guesses are created equal. See, when the speaker said she must have misunderstood, she was pretty sure about it, like 90% certain. But compare that to might have written. That's more of a 50-50 shot, a real possibility. And then for things you're sure didn't happen, you'd use couldn't have, which is way down at only 5%. This meter is your best friend here.
So let's put these side by side. Over on the left, you've got must have. You use this for strong logical guesses, usually when you have some kind of evidence. Her low score led her to think, I must have made a mistake. But on the right, might have or may have is for when you're just throwing out possibilities without any strong proof. It's just an idea. The real difference is just how sure you feel.
But hey, that conversation wasn't just about guessing what happened. The students were also looking back at their own actions, talking about regrets and spotting those moments where things could have gone a completely different way. And this is another huge job that modal perfects do for us.
Should have plus a past participle, that V3, right? The third form of the verb, like planned, eaten, or gone. This is basically how you give advice to your past self. When the student said, I should have planned my time better, she's pointing out her mistake and saying what the right thing to do was. This is your classic go-to structure for expressing regret.
Now, could have is a little different. It's not really about making a mistake. It's more about a missed chance. An opportunity that was there, but you didn't take it. When the other student said, I could have improved my grade, he's saying the potential was there. The door was open, but he didn't walk through it. So that's the key difference. Should have is about the better action, and could have is about a possible action.
Phew, okay, we've covered a lot of ground. So let's bring it all together into a quick and easy summary. Think of it as a grammar toolkit you can pull out anytime you need to talk about the past.
And here it is, your cheat sheet. Use must have when you're pretty much certain based on the evidence. Use might have or may have when you're just tossing out a possibility. Use should have when you're talking about a better choice you wish you'd made. That's for regret. And finally, use could have to talk about a past opportunity you didn't take. This table right here is your quick guide to mastering the past.
So to make all of this really stick, let's end with a little question for you. I want you to think back on your own week. What's one thing you should have done differently? Or maybe what's something you could have tried but didn't get around to? Honestly, using this grammar to talk about your own life is the absolute fastest way to learn it.